fabulous show benefiting the job seeker community. First of all, we are part of a wonderful radio station, JOCO Community Radio. And JOCO Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. Now, to listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The JOCO Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and iOS devices. Just simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. Now, we have a jam-packed show today. We are very excited. But before I just give a quick update and turn it over to Foster, let's go ahead and bow our heads for a quick word of prayer, shall we? Father God, we are just so honored and thankful to be here this day to bless the job seeker community and share wisdom, knowledge, and tips. We thank you for our guests on the show today, for both individuals, Nigeal Fisher and Rich Doarn. We're excited to be here. Help us to further your kingdom and help those in the job seeker transition. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now,
Amen.
Yes. Now, listeners, we're going to turn this over to Foster, but just know that the first part of the show, our industry expert is going to be discussing new developments companies are doing in the job market and what job seekers should be doing to prepare for these new developments. Well, Foster, over to you, my friend.
Oh my goodness, you guys are in trouble now. She turned it over to me.
Couldn't be in better hands without you.
Everybody's running away, run away, run away. No. No, we got a good show today. We got Nigeal Fisher with us. Nigel and I have been friends in the HR community. Nigeal is one of the most, probably our most requested speaker that we've had in the network. To be honest with you, we're real blessed today. We're going to talk about some new stuff that we're seeing in the market and all that kind of stuff. But before we do, guys, real quick, we want to celebrate a couple of real cool landings that happened. So bear with me. Our own Dana, our own Sonia Scott, over at North Texas Lead, got a promotion.
Yay! Go Sonia! 2 thumbs up for excitement.
She's director of talent and organizational management at North Texas Lead, and so congratulations, Sonia. And I think I'm going to try to get Sonia on our show next week, to be honest with you. And actually, Nicole Odion, I met her dad a long time. Y'all, this is why network works the way that it does. I met Nicole's dad years ago. And his name is Job, Job. And Nicole was a little girl. Nicole was like probably in 7th grade or something when I first met her dad. And so Nicole's getting her career started. She just graduated. She wants to be a software developer. And guess what, guys? Here's the network. Here it goes. So Andy Cook, Andy is the reason that we have this show.
Yes,
and Andy
we
pops
love our
on.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy pops on occasionally with us here and there when she can. She is at Landvera right now, and so is Nicole Odion. So Nicole was looking for an opportunity. They had an entry level opportunity open. I said, Andy, here's Nicole. Run her through the process, and they love Nicole. It's like her dad. We love Job Odion, and so they hired her. So now Nicole Odion is a junior software developer over at Landvera. And that's what I love about this network. And Rich, when we were at South Lake Focus Group, you might remember when she was up front announcing her landing. And it's just cool, guys. I'll make a blanket statement, and Nigeal and I are going to be talking about it a little bit in a second. But there is a lot of technology. There's a lot of stuff, guys. There's a lot of help that we have technologically to help us in our job search, but do not allow your job search to become mechanical. people still hire you. People are the
Mhm.
ones that make the decision to hire you. And we you guys, we got to get it, and we got to still make sure that we're doing our networking element and meeting people and building relationships. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Nigel Fisher. Now, Nigel is an HR executive, has been for years and years, and we work together. We've been friends. We go out to eat, all that kind of stuff. You know, we have to do barbecue, you guys. You know that, right? But job search is not job search without barbecue. Just kidding. So, but if you don't eat, you guys, you can't get hired because you'll die if you don't eat. Nobody trying to hire nobody dead. And so my jokes are over with, y'all. You know I'm always trying to make you guys laugh. But there are some observations that Nigel and I have observed, and we talk about all the time. And
Mhm.
guys, while you're listening, there's a lot of companies that are listening. While you guys are listening, remember, if you need an HR executive, uh, Nigel is in transition herself right now. So some of the things we're going to talk about, you guys listen to. And Nigel, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Nigel, we're so
Hey, Dana. Hey,
excited.
Foster. I'm so happy to be here. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. We're glad to have you with us. I know how busy you are. And Nigel, your last engagement was with, is it Arenia?
It's
Is that
Arinia
is that how you say
Pharmaceuticals.
that? For a
Yeah,
big
That's how you say it.
pharmaceutical company. And
yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you did there and what it is that you do, because companies are listening right now, and I just put you out there on the spot. You're looking for a
You
job,
did.
so yeah. Tell us
But
a little bit about that real quick before we start talking.
the very
Yes.
shortest answer is that I'm an HR executive. I have been a director. I'm looking to transition into things that are more vice presidential in this moment, but I manage HR across three continents: the US, Canada, and Europe. Foster knows I have a history of, I was an expat for 3 years in Ireland with Allergan. And basically, with Arenia, everybody says, "What's your exit statement?" We were a one drug company, and we needed a business development deal to expand the pipeline, and that did not happen. So they closed the operations in Canada and Europe, and then centralized everything in Rockville, Maryland. And I'm a Texas girl, so
Oh,
this is
very
home for
much.
me. So
I get it.
yeah. So and that's my story. But we're going to help other folks today and
That's
talk
right.
about,
That's
the
right.
trends that we're seeing and some of the things that we see on LinkedIn and the articles. And we're going to make it very simple for everybody to understand what they need to be doing in their job search to truly be effective.
That's right. What you want to start with, Nige? You want to start with
Oh,
ageism? You want where you want to start
let's
talking?
let's start with this idea, the remote work, and
Okay.
for
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let's start with remote work.
Okay.
And for giggles, right? Somebody's got to be on the other side, because what I'm going to say won't be popular, but it'll be very honest.
Yeah, that's right.
And it should help ground everybody in their expectations for remote work, and whether or not it stays, because we're not sure that it's going to last forever, right? And we need to be honest that it was an emergency response to a pandemic. It was not the
It
way the
was.
workplace culture was set up. And so we just need to be honest and kind of drill down in terms of people's expectations and what the future may or may not look like. So,
Makes
That's right.
sense.
As
yeah.
we're moving forward, guys, remember, if you take some of this remote, they may, most of them probably will. We're hoping that they do because of the
Mhm.
convenience. But you know what? It may not remain a remote. The
Yep.
company may change their mind along the way, and
They
that's a little bit
can.
what we're talking about. Keep going, Nigel. I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay.
mean to jump in.
No, you're fine. This is a conversation, so chime in and feel free to share. Rick, if
Yes.
you have thoughts, feel free to share them, because the more that we have, the more varied opinions we have, the better we can help the audience. So,
Hmm.
Agreed.
in anticipation of this conversation, guys, I did a bit of research and looked around. Some people are fully remote, some people are hybrid, some people are remote with a caveat that you live within a certain distance to the area in which the office is. So the idea that remote work is just wide open, I can work from anywhere. I was hired in California, I want to move to Hawaii, or I want to move to Alaska. That's not the reality. And what we're seeing in terms of LinkedIn, just looking at basic postings, you'll see a remote posting will have 1,800 applicants. I'll see a
Yes.
hybrid
Uh-huh.
posting will have 438 applicants, and you'll see an on-site with 83 applicants. And that's really the nature of where public perception is that every role that pops up should be remote. So the remote roles are the most coveted. They are the toughest to land because you are looking at thousands of candidates within a span of 18 hours, within a span of 36 hours. You're almost 3,000 applicants, and you're seeing on LinkedIn postings that postings are closed within 3 to 7 days that are remote because everybody wants that job. But here's what I need you to understand. The remote world, again, is a pandemic response, the remote positions. There's a ton of real estate from a business perspective that is sitting in the middle of downtown Dallas and Fort Worth and other areas, and it cannot be left vacant. If we do that, we kill our own economy if we never go back to the offices. So the idea is hybrid is the way to ease everybody back into the idea of coming back into the office. And eventually we'll see things move toward where we've seen bills introduced this week and last week regarding a 4-day work week standard in the US. We might move to that, but I don't know that fully remote work will remain for every industry. So I'll say when Jesus returns, right? That's not the reality of the world in which we live. So thoughts and comments about that, because I think people are just in this bubble of, I just want to work remote. I want to work at home. And that's not the workplace.
Nigeal, I want to thank you for bringing this up because it is definitely, and I've spoken to a number of people, and being in talent acquisition and HR, and going through, I'm in transition myself. I had a great paying, fully remote role that came to a halt all of a sudden because the RPO space for this company I worked for was not doing well, and they went through ongoing layoffs. I finally got impacted and found myself all of a sudden thrusted back in the market. So as I've been going online to apply to roles, including LinkedIn, like you mentioned, I have noticed that, probably about a fourth are remote, and the number of applicants are insane. And then probably, 2/4, and then about two-fourths or 1/2 of what's left over is hybrid, and then the other half of what's left over is full-time in office. Now, I had gotten really comfortable with working from home. I loved the fact that I didn't have to fight traffic. I didn't have to sit in all of those fumes for an hour. I could get time in my day back. I could get my day started earlier. Even the cost of products to make myself look professional, to go in the office, all the gas, it was great. But I see what you're saying as far as an economy is concerned. If we truly got to where we were fully working remote, what would happen with all that real estate? What would happen on the other side of our economy?
Right.
That makes sense. I think a solution personally to me is either hybrid, where we still are going in a couple days a week, and hopefully we can maintain that. Or I love the idea of a 4-day work week, knock out 40-ish hours and have a little bit longer of a weekend. Honestly, I think that motivates people to stay focused for longer and get more done. It could be a great, I guess you could say, if you're talking in racing terms, you're adding some nitrous oxide to the fuel tank and getting the economy boosted again, right? Because COVID's done so many things to our economy. And with the market being the way it is right now, extremely saturated with talent, most of us are on the show are looking for work, while we're serving the job seeker community. And it is a reality that even though my preference is to be remote, I'm applying to everything, and I'm open to full-time in office. For me, it's important to get back to work. And if that means I need to go in the office, then I figure it out, right?
Right. Yeah. I think you make a great point. I think people need to understand, do you want to go back to work or do you want to work remote? What is top tier for you, right? Mez pointed out a couple of things. She's told me that the unemployment rate is going to be re-released today. The reality is the unemployment rate for the nation is different than the one in Texas. Texas is a very, very hot market. Unemployment is so low. There are no extensions for unemployment. So if you get let go and you're in transition and you do not have a severance, find a job. Find yourself a place that you can reasonably work and love going into if you have to go in, but you love the work that you do. Find yourself a place to land. Do not wait around for the job of your dreams, which happens to be, remote, so you can work from an island or you can work from your living room or wherever. Find yourself a place to land, because unemployment in Texas and unemployment in the US are two totally different
way
things.
different. Yeah.
They're way different. And when you look at the stats, they tell you go to work as soon as you and as quickly as you can, as soon as you can, go to work. Find yourself something. Now, if you're a trust fund baby, and me and Foster are not, and you can sit home and hang out, and Dana's not, then
I'm not.
and Rick is not, then don't worry about it. But if you're like us, you've got to find a place to land. So absolutely find the fit, and then go out and tell people the value that you're going to bring to their organization, and lead with that. Start with what it is that you do. If you ask Foster what I do, or if you ask me, I'll tell you I'm an HR executive that moves the needle.
Yeah, right? She does. Believe me, y'all.
And that's it. I'm going to move the needle. I'm going to go in, find out exactly what the organization needs, and add to the success of a thriving culture. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And when I walk into the interview room, that's what I'm going to tell you. You should expect to hear that, how the person is going to add value. So when we think about the interview process, folks should be selling their skills. They should be talking about what they've accomplished. They should not be leaving it to chance that they're going to read your resume and figure it out. The interview is your opportunity to shine. Take every opportunity to share your skill set and your value statement. And if you don't have a value statement in today's environment, please get one, right?
Guys, we got to get this relevance thing down. Why in the world am I going to consider hiring you into my company if you're not telling me experiences that are relevant to what I'm looking for?
Will you repeat your value statement for us, Nigeal, so that everyone can be reattuned to what it should sound like? Because yours was amazing when you opened up.
I'll tell you like this. I am Nigeal Stokes Fisher, and they say, well, what are you going to do? Tell us a little bit about your experience. I am an HR executive who moves the needle. I have worked across continents. I have worked with the U.S. population, with the Canadian employees, and several countries in the EU. I have gone in every one of those populations and had an impact. I have restructured organizations. I have downsized organizations. I have expanded and harmonized organizations, right? And the cultural and transcended cultures. So the fact that I happen to be, brown to some people or whatever, but I'm an American working in Europe does not matter, because I'm effective and impactful in every community that I've ever stepped in. Here is a few of the accomplishments that I can share with you, right? As you can see, you have the resume. Here is what people are saying. When you look at my LinkedIn profile and you see my references, here is what they say about me. And it's consistent, regardless of the role, regardless of industry. I've worked in trucking. I've worked in pharma. I've worked as a corporate HR consultant. It doesn't matter where I work. The result is the same if you hire me. You've got to have a value statement that is purposeful, impactful, and fits into, 90 seconds. And here's the thing. Do not tell me where you started. I do not care that you've been in your industry since you were in the 6th grade. That is irrelevant to me. I do not want to hear that story.
6th grade teacher was mean anyway.
And that's it. Just tell me how you're going to help me. That's all you need to do. Tell me how you're going, because that's really what they want to know.
Yes.
And if you look at everything you see on the internet, and especially in this time where we're also, right, I grew up where I was the remote. I was the human remote. I had to go over and change the TV.
I had to climb
that were telling me. In this day and time, the remote just changes and flashes everything. So nobody has any patience.
You were the human remote.
I was a human remote control at one time, right? That was my very first job.
I got to raise my hand on that one.
I love it. Right. That is awesome.
So we just don't have the time. We don't have the patience. People just want to know how you can be impactful. And it's important that you share that, right?
Absolutely. Now, is it fair to assume that, when I'm applying for a remote job, if that job has been open maybe for a week or 10 days or something like that, I might be so far down the list of applicants, I may not ever be approached or even called, or even my application for the job may not be seen. But the reason why I'm saying this is because you know where I'm coming. You know what I'm going to come with. That network at that point, guys, has got to be at our network. The one that this show serves is all over the United States. I am called the job father. That's what y'all call me. It's fun,
Mhm.
but it's true because I have connections all over the place, but I'm not the only person. Dana does, Nigel does.
Yep.
Guys, we can do some work to connect with the people that we feel that we need to connect with. And that is what's going to make the difference. Because if there is 1,100 applications for an opportunity
Mhm.
and you are applying, you see that you may not be, all the time. It doesn't show us how long the job's been open. But
Right.
if you are number 900, there's a good chance nobody's going to even see
Right.
your resume.
True.
So
Mhm.
if you are a good fit for that job, and I'll say that again, if you are a good fit for that job, somebody needs to see that. Somebody needs to hear that. So we get in through a person. I'll call Rich. Rich knows everybody. Oh my God, I call Rich
Yeah,
and say,
yeah.
Rich,
Heck yeah.
Rich.
So Nigel,
Mhm.
when you okay, I hear a lot from interviews, and I think maybe your expertise could speak to this.
Sure.
Oh,
One of the biggest things I hear from people that I speak to and different interviewers out in the market,
Mhm.
and getting to see it a little bit myself, I can
Mhm.
say it's hard. But what would you say to someone that says they've been interviewing a lot, they're
Mhm.
feeling discouraged, maybe that they are lacking a little bit of confidence
Mhm.
and just feeling beat down?
Okay,
What
I'm going to answer that in,
would you
in,
recommend to them?
in the very shortest way possible, Dana, because it's just two things. Robin asked a question: is the value statement and an elevator pitch the same thing? Yes. It's
yes,
the same thing. Yes.
please,
Um,
yes.
but to Dana's point, I have applied for, I don't even know how many positions, right? Because you just look at them and you say, oh, I'm a fit for this. You go in and you update your cover letter and you send it. And then you get all these automated expenses, responses, because to Foster's point, you might find yourself further down. If I've been interviewing for a while and I'm not getting the job, none of those were my job. Don't spend more than three
Good
seconds
point.
on the fact outside of it was not my job. I do not have the energy to place into things that are not mine. That's not my space. So I am
Love
more
it.
closer to finding my space now, knowing that that's not it. And I've just got to keep going because somewhere all of this is going to work. I call Foster, he can tell you, and I say, who do we know at? Do we know anybody over there? Do we like that place?
I go
Is it
through
a great
everything with
place?
Nigel. I love
We
it.
do. And then we say, okay, and whether I get it or not, it doesn't matter because it wasn't my space.
That's right.
And you've got to stay positive. So there's this idea that mindfulness and emotional intelligence are linked, and I read an article on that this morning, and I'm thinking they are linked because if you're not positive about your search, it's going to take forever. You're just stretching your own time out in the job market because you're infusing negative energy. Why didn't I get it? Was that my job? I would have been great at it. I don't have time for that. It
And
wasn't
you
my
don't
job.
know
I'm
that.
done.
You don't know the
You
people.
don't know that. You
Yeah.
don't know the people. So the minute that your head goes negative and you start to do that, get out of there. Just say, oh, no, you know what? That wasn't my job. I'm so excited that I'm closer to finding my spot. Now that gives me an opportunity to go back and say, what did I not do well or what did I learn and add it into what I'm doing next? But I wouldn't spend a lot of time on why I didn't get a job.
Not at all.
Yep.
Not,
Yep.
no.
I love that. That's the truth, you guys. A lot of times, we're good at beating ourselves up, and I want job seekers to stop doing this because
Right.
it does affect the overall presentation of what we're trying to tell people that we are. If you got laid off, if
That's it.
executives at the company got in a meeting and decided, hey, I got to lay off 20% of the workforce, Elon Musk,
Mhm.
I'm kidding. But guys, you didn't have anything to do with that. Nobody said that you can't do your job anymore. Nobody said that, oh, you failed.
Mhm.
Why are you taking it on yourself? Why are you
I-
guys thinking that I'm a lesser person because
mhm.
somebody else that I don't know a whole lot about a lot of times
Mhm.
made a decision for a company?
I'll be transparent for a moment and just say this, Foster. The
Hmm.
position that I took with Iridia, I knew it was a risk, right? But it was the position that I wanted to
Hmm.
do,
Hmm.
right? I had a secondary job offer for somebody that I worked with where they just came and got me and said, we want you to have this job, but it required me to move to South Carolina. I didn't want to move, so I took the job that I wanted. It was a risk, but it was still the job that I wanted.
Job,
But it
yes.
doesn't matter because jobs find me. I really don't have to look at them. When I look at my history, it's like, oh, people come and get me. So somebody's on their way to get me for a job, and that's it. And in the process, I'm going to apply. And to Foster's point, if I'm number 900, I see the applicant numbers are high on LinkedIn. I see who posted the job. I see who do I know there. I reach out to them. I use my primary email and send a note to the job poster and say, hey, I applied for this job. I did apply for it, followed all the protocols, but I just wanted to send you my resume and my cover letter. And I want to ask you if we can chat when you have time. We can do a virtual Starbucks, right? This, that, and the other, and that's it. And if you do that and you start to connect with people, you're one, enrich your network so you can help others, and two, you'll find your landing space because you're doing it in the way that it, like Foster said, it's a humanitarian thing. Finding a job is not ever going to be this virtual robotic experience. And I've interviewed for Grins with the robots, and guess what? I failed every interview with the robot. The only one that I got through was where I copied and pasted the job, my answers to their questions from their job posting. And then it says, we'll have a human call you, right? Because there's this component where it is very much an interaction and people have to feel you. They want to feel your energy, right? And they want to know more about you. So use your interpersonal skills and understand that it's not as robotic as people are making it seem. And they're saying, oh, AI, this AI cannot replace hiring people.
It's not going to.
It's not going to.
And guys, we're to commercial time. We want to thank you. Oh, I hear the music. I want to thank you, Nigel.
No problem.
We're going to talk to Rich when we get back.
Awesome.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved
You
one,
see
you
why I
know
like
how
her?
hard it is getting that clunky wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or
Do what
closet.
now?
You can take it everywhere, and it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair.
If
The
you emailed me and said it was time, so I wanted to jump out there.
Payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
I can't hear Dana. She's going, and I can't hear her. Dana, you look good, though. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Rich, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear
Good.
me?
If you can, if you can hear me, then everybody else can. Dana, I don't know why it muted you but I'm going to jump in here and introduce Rich Doarn. Guys, I want you companies, I invited a bunch of you companies to listen because today we've got Rich Doarn. Now, Rich, guys, is an operations executive, and in that operational leadership comes in the transportation category. So if you, hey, supply chain and logistics, you need to get it there. Rich is your man. He has led a number of different opportunities. We're going to talk to Rich about some of those opportunities and things that he's done. But Rich is a leader in that space, and I want you guys to be able to see Rich and hear Rich talk about Rich. He knows Rich better than I do. So, so Rich, tell me a little bit. We got Dana back, yay! And Rich, tell me a little bit. Tell all of us a little bit about your experience and why these companies need to hire you, especially after this post-COVID thing.
Yeah, so my name is Rich Doarn. I'm a transportation leader here in the DFW area. My expertise has always been that full truckload business. So that would be either containers off the port or containers off the rails. Could be van loads in and out of Canada, in and out of Mexico. It doesn't make that much difference. I had the pleasure of being a president of a company here recently that was ended up, we had a tenfold increase in revenue in that time I was there, to the point where the owner was able to sell it and then it merged with another company. So I think that was great for him. So transportation is really super important. There is literally nothing that we have that doesn't hit a truck at some time or distribution at some time.
Yes.
I've had the pleasure of working with both the union and non-union workers, and they're about the same. They just want to be treated fairly and with equity. And I think that's really, really important as a manager. And I worked in distribution where we had fresh break products coming in from multiple different locations to one location and distributed back out to multiple locations throughout Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico. So that was really exciting, especially this time of year, with a lot of fresh stuff going out. So that was really fun.
Now, Rich, now you were for a number of years, I can't remember how many years, but a number of years, you were with I think they are the largest transportation company in the United States, JB Hunt.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys have seen it. Now, you're not alive if you hadn't seen JB Hunt trucks going down the road. But tell us a little bit about that, because I know you've been in a manufacturing environment with Bimbo Bakeries. You've been on the other side. Well, not really so much the other side of the fence, but the side that gets us the Bimbo Bakery products.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that, about your direct, I guess you could say maybe the direct experience with the trucking company itself.
Sure. Well, first, I want to put in a plug for Entenmann's, which is one of Bimbo's brands. They have a brand new ice cream sandwich out, which is a cookie and ice cream, and they are phenomenal. I just had some the other day. Started my transportation career a long time ago in college, throwing freight at Roadway at a cross-dock facility. And that was really, it was a great experience, all our stuff, paid for college, all our stuff. But then I started my transportation career with a company called JB Hunt. It is the nation's largest publicly held company. And they have all kinds of great opportunities. I did van work there. I did dedicated, where you're an on-site manager taking care of a specific customer, and that customer was a Weyerhaeuser location out in the Central Valley of California, where we had building materials and that, which is really kind of neat. Central California is extremely hot in the summertime, which was nice. But that was really nice, so you get to go with that customer experience. So as a transportation executive on site, your whole goal is to increase their ability to get their product out to their customers. So you work really closely with sales and with drivers, and then we had to load these bill of materials and that. So you're out there working with the yardmen and all that stuff. So that was really good teamwork in that. It was all flatbed work, so we're throwing straps and securing stuff all the time. So really, safety was so very, very important. So you didn't have any sort of safety claims, which could be, could be really bad. I mean, you're 4 or 5 feet up in the air on a flatbed truck. You step the wrong way, you could fall off. So we had to make sure people were safe and all our stuff. So safety is so very, very important in our industry. And then I got an opportunity to do the containers, which is a 53-foot container on a railroad, which is typically the BNSF is their largest customer. Yeah. And man, that stuff goes all over the place, from all lower 48s into Canada and out of Mexico. It's amazing stuff. Super efficient, super green. mile and a half, 2 mile long seems strange all the time. So I got a chance to do that in California. And then I got transferred to Texas here, which was where my in-laws are, which was a great move for the family. And then just helped them develop their alliance area, which is it was a pretty small operation when I first took it over. And then just was in the right spot at the right time, got to really grow that into, hundreds of regional drivers, hundreds of local drivers. And that was really, really great. Worked with really all the Fortune 10 companies in the country. You got the Walmarts and the Best Buys and Dr. Pepper, stuff like that. So we're always working with those. That was really, really fun. And just working with the drivers, that's the most important part.
Yeah, I did that at one time. As a recruiter, I did that. Yeah.
And then even Mr. Hunt, I got a chance to work with Mr. Hunt, and his main thing is so true is that the most important person in a trucking company is the driver. It's the only one actually adding to the bottom line, picking up and delivering and stuff. So it's really, 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 really great experience. And then I had an opportunity to work for the world's largest bakery, which is Bimbo Bakeries.
And they're the largest, Rich?
Yeah, they're the largest, the world's. They're on every single continent except for Antarctica. And if there was people down there wanting bread and buns, they could probably figure out.
Oh man, they got a little bit of temperature issue down there.
Yeah,
they do.
But really a great experience working for them. It was a great organization. Super focused on the person, which is really, really great. They have a number of people at their facility. I worked in Fort Worth, was where my office was at, but just
is that where headquarters is, Richard?
Their headquarters in the United States is in Horsham, PA.
Oh, okay.
And their international is down in Mexico City, and I had a chance to go down to Mexico City as well, and that was a great experience as well.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you got a question, Nigeal. Go ahead.
I do. Rich, I heard you say you worked for Roadway. I started in HR there. So you were a union employee at one time.
No, I was what they call a scab. So I was a casual worker in the summertime, and then during winter break. So call you up, we need you to work 8 to 10 hours. And it came in. Yeah. And the amazing thing is this was back a few decades ago, and it was great money because you got paid the prevailing union wage.
You did. Yep. So
it was fun.
Okay.
When I played football, they called me a scab. Oh my God.
That was different.
Oh well.
But the great thing about working at Bimbo though is, again, we had about 5 or 6 bakeries in the general DFW area, Oklahoma, San Antonio, and also Houston. All that stuff, they make different products at different bakeries, and not all had to collect it in various spots. So you had to get it there on time, and then get it transferred across stock facilities, which were just wonderful people. And you got to move up from that to like a sales center, and that's where your individual bread person would pick up their route stuff. So that could be going to a grocery store, it could be going to a convenience store, it could be going to a restaurant like a Chick-fil-A or a Sonic or something like that. So it was really fun.
So Rich, what's next for you? Like when you think about your next role, what's next for you? Give me, if you had you could have your dream job, what is it?
It would definitely be forward facing. So I'm one of those type of people that like to go in the office and work with people. And transportation, I think it's really important. It might be part of a transportation company, and there's lots of those out there at a senior level. Or it could be part of a distribution, transportation part of a manufacturer. So, like in Bimbo, for example, they have a trucking part simply because they have to get their bread out. But it also could be something like a Kubota tractor is one of the companies I'm kind of focusing on.
Okay.
Or it could be, anything like that. So, just forward facing, working with a team, and also developing talent, because I think it's very important. It's one of the things I've always done through my work history is identifying talent early on and then developing them to VP level positions, which I've been able to do at both Jimmy Hunt, a little bit at Bimbo, and then that last company as well. So you identify those people who are going to be those future leaders, because companies aren't going to succeed if they don't really develop those future leaders.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. You know what I think about when I think about transportation and logistics, transportation especially, because I am a consumer. I think
Mhm.
about the timing.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
I'm going to order a product, if my company needs a substrate or something that has something to do with what we make, or if in my bakery, who is responsible for that product getting there on a timely basis? Is that you, Richard, or are there
Yeah,
people, or you
definitely.
oversee that?
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I did at Bimbo, for example. So you had to be in, for example, just use the Walmart example. You had to
Mhm.
be the bread person, had to be in and out of the Walmart by, let's say,
Uh-huh.
5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, which
Uh-huh.
means that if you're doing Walmarts in San Antonio and you have bread that's made in Oklahoma or
Mhm.
muffins that are made in Elkhart, Indiana for Thomas English
Mhm.
muffins, you had to get them into a distribution center and get them to the sales center in a time that the driver, your bread person, can get it to the Walmart. So it's that just in time stuff where
Yeah.
it's just got to
Mhm.
go.
Especially with those products, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then
Absolutely.
also at Hunt too, we did a lot of that just-in-time stuff for
Mhm.
automotive facilities. So, an automotive plant or a lot of plants don't have a lot of storage, so
Mhm.
they need stuff to come in just as the time as just as the manufacturing line sort of needs it. So it
Okay.
could be engine components, it could be anything. So that's just-in-time stuff. And at my previous company, at this company I was a president of, we did a automotive dedicated run where
Okay.
drivers did specific runs from one warehouse out to 5 or 6 manufacturers and back to the same distribution center.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
that distribution center then went to the plant.
Okay.
This
So,
won't
Rich,
go
I've
ahead.
got one question because I've seen it in the comments. Somebody asked, why not oil and gas? Are you open to working in oil and gas at
I
all?
was
Or
just saying, man, put that in.
okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think oil and
okay.
gas here is a great opportunity. I
Mhm.
think any energy thing, I think that's one of the things that is obviously here in Texas, Oklahoma area.
Mhm.
I did get a
Oh
chance to
yeah.
talk to someone from Halliburton at a
Okay.
hiring event, and what they suggest is they would like to kind of even out their production and therefore their employment. So instead of having the highs and lows where
Okay.
they're hiring people and laying people off, is they'd like
Mhm.
to kind of figure out what that consistent business would be. So yeah, oil and gas would be great.
Okay.
Rich, I want to throw a company at you, maybe one that you haven't thought about, maybe you haven't heard about. I don't know. You're pretty good at your job search. You're better at searching than me. But there's a company over in Fort Worth called Elbit Systems, Elbit.
Mhm.
They make components. They make avionics components, all that sort of stuff that has to go all over the place. And they need somebody there. I don't know if this position is still open, but a couple of months ago, they needed to hire somebody that would oversee all of that distribution of what it is that they produce over there.
Oh
So
yeah,
ELBIT, I just wanted to kind of throw that out to you.
yeah, definitely. I
I
appreciate
don't
it.
know. Can y'all hear me?
I can.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
you, Dana. Yeah.
My mic is back. I'm so sorry. No, this is really good. I had something that's been brewing on my mind with
Go, go,
some of
go.
the information you just gave us, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Rich, when you think about what we talked about with Nigeal on the first half, the value statement or your personal statement of kind of what you bring to the table, we've weaved around it quite a bit over you discussing the industries, the type of roles. But why don't you give us kind of a quick rundown of why someone should hire you and what sets you apart from other candidates as far
Good
as your
question.
experience
Yep.
and background?
That's a great question. So my main thing is identifying pain points at a company. It could
Mhm.
be
Okay.
distribution. It could be empty miles. So in transportation, you don't get paid for those empty miles coming back from
Mhm.
one location to the
Oh,
next. So it's to determine that it's definitely retention of drivers and retention of talent. That could be managers, it could be office staff, it could be whatever. It's getting them to understand that you work for, like that team environment. I'm a big teams guy, and also it's that money is either you're making it or you're losing it. So you have to determine where you're losing it and try to figure out how to better do that. And that could be, the hard thing about transportation is it could be moving on from the customer base that you have.
Mhm.
And that could be because, of some sort of a long load period or long offload period, or it could be anything like that.
Okay.
And then just, talent development, I think, is so critical. And that ability I've always had that ability to talk to the person on the dock, the truck driver, and then also CEOs, congressmen and women, people in government, and all our stuff that we've had to do in transportation.
It's funny.
What titles are you looking for?
It's a great question. Senior manager, director, vice president, president, based on the size of the company. So I was lucky enough to be a director or senior manager at multi-billion-dollar companies. And I was the president of a regional carrier, which was probably sub $100 million company.
So director, senior manager, vice president of what? Let's get real specific.
Well, it'd be transportation or logistics.
Got it.
It'd be a senior manager of transportation.
Got it.
You made me think about something, Rich. And sometimes when you're JB hunting, you're going to pick up and transport a product to another distributor or a company that needs a certain product so they can get their stuff out the door. That time, man, I am on this timeliness today. That timeliness, the holdup, as you said, might be with the pickup point outside of what JB Hunt, outside of whatever transit company that you're working with. How does that, because I know there's reverberations there, how does that usually work?
So it's a lot of times you have to figure out why. You talk to the shipper and find out why it takes them so long. It could be surely just manufacturing. So like in the bread business, we had to wait for the bread to come down to be able to load it. So it could be something like that. But you can get around that by constant communication, which I think is very, very important with the shipper. But it also could be, can I drop a trailer there in your dock? And then you please call us, especially if you're local, and we'll come and pick it up as soon as it's ready. The big thing with drivers now is they have, according to the Department of Transportation, you only have so many hours to work, which is one of the only industries out there that the federal government dictates you how long you can work every single day.
Yeah.
So you can only work 14 hours. So that's 10 hours of driving and 4 hours of doing other work, which would be sitting in a dock or something like that. So it's very, very important for us to be able to communicate with those customers and say, hey, you're detaining the driver. Can we drop a trailer? Call us later when it's ready. We'll have a driver right over, that type of deal. That's really, really beneficial. And that way the driver can get it on the road. And one of the things, too, that we worked in the industry, too, is we help them almost like the AAA plan their trip from point A to point B, because if you've driven down the road lately, there's not a lot of places for big trucks to park. So it's you try to figure out what's the best fuel stop to stop at. I worked at all my jobs. You try to get discounts at fuel companies, so it doesn't cost us as much. And then with the owner operators who own their own trucks and putting their own money in it, try to get them the best discount as possible.
I love this conversation because about a little bit over a year ago, we had a guy named Marcel Tennyson that was on the show. And, Rich, I have got to be the Jobfather, and I have got to connect you with Marcel Tennyson. You guys, what you guys do is way, way similar. And he has been in oil and gas. He's been in moving stuff around, and he's been responsible for a lot of things that you have been responsible for. And his network and you talking, I think it might be beneficial to both of you guys. He's working a little bit outside of what he normally does right now. And who knows, it might be beneficial for him to talk to you and find out some things that what you know and what he knows. So yeah, that will be something that I will take on myself to do.
It's a big industry. It's a huge industry. It's one of those things that
that's a big one.
That everybody needs it. There's some ebbs and flows, obviously, with things that the federal government may or may not do, type of deal, or even state governments. But they're the salt of the earth people. People who are truck drivers work long hours. They're great people. People working the docks are great people. There is going to be some automation on dock work. I don't. In my lifetime, in our lifetime, I don't see fully autonomous trucks going up and down the road. I just don't see that. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it could be like in a yard. We worked at Bimbo to get an autonomous vehicle to move trailers around. I could see that happening for sure. But
Rich, are you familiar with a company called, I think you pronounce it Groendyke?
No.
My uncle works for Grundyke, and
Mhm.
I'm going to Groendyke, I believe. The trucks are all over the place, and they move oil and gas products and a couple of other things that I guess you could say are kind of dangerous products. Kind of dangerous
Okay.
products, chemicals, and that sort of thing. I just wanted to throw that out there because as you guys talk, I'm thinking about all kind of connections and stuff that I have all over the place.
Yep. And this is a great place to
Yeah.
be. The DFW area is a great place to be. It
It
is
is.
actually the #1 landing spot in the country now for freight. It used to be Phoenix. Now
Oh,
it's
wow.
here. You get stuff moved in from the port in Houston. You get stuff all railed
Yes.
into the DFW area.
Yes.
So you can see all the distribution centers going on around here. That's typically going to be like a regional driver job or you're or local. So you're going to be out for, a day or two and come right back. And those are a really good jobs. There's not in transportation when I first started, there was a driver who wanted, who didn't necessarily want to be home. The guy who was like, so back to the Smokey and Bandit days, I guess, where he's out for a month or two and then eventually would come back by the house. No one's like that anymore. It's that work-life balance that everybody wants. So local jobs,
Oh
regional
yeah.
jobs are really great. And the DFW area is a wonderful place to be in transportation distribution.
Maz said that she was 10 years with SLB. Maz, could you put out what SLB is out into the chat, if you wouldn't mind?
Yep. And a quick shout out to Mez, our hype lady and
Oh yeah.
project manager
Oh,
behind the
Slumberjay. Okay.
scenes. Yep. And Jason Hopper, our good friend from Jewish Family Services that supports our show every week.
Every week. Jay Hop. What's going on, Jason? It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, we are happy. Well, Rich, honestly, it sounds like you have expansive background and have brought a lot of value to organizations, saving them money, optimizing processes, and bottom line, impacting revenue. So, as far as your search right now, what are you seeing out there, and what has your observation been as you've been applying to roles?
So my first observation is that at my level, a lot of times there's not a lot of positions at that senior manager and director level above, that's understandable. I have gotten decent feedback, but a lot of times they're looking for someone with just like one more talent set that I don't have. For example, it could be, and I had a really good interview at the beginning of my search with a company that did fuel for jets. And they wanted someone who loved my experience and all that stuff, but they said they really wanted someone who delivered fuel, picked up fuel, everything else, my resume, everything else they loved. So it's just the specifics now. So I'm not saying that I'm a unicorn trying to find a specific spot. That's why I kind of pivoted to the manufacturing end of it. They have manufacturing up in the other. I thought that was pretty good. There are.
Yeah. Well, with your trucking and manufacturing, that opens up a lot for you.
I hope so.
It does. Yeah, it should. Yeah, I like for our people to hear and meet, our job seekers that are on the show, like Rich, because sometimes companies never thought about. Hey, I never thought about that. Maybe I want to have a conversation with Rich or a Nigel or a Dana or Foster, and that's a beauty of networking to start with. But Rich, what about a company like Trinity Industries? Now I know they do a lot of rail.
Ooh.
Have you you've probably checked them out?
I did.
Yeah.
It's one of the jobs I also applied for. It was a director level for their rail cars. And again, they just loved me. They just wanted someone with more experience with the actual rail.
Direct,
rail. I do hear this a lot is we've hired someone from within. So we promoted a junior manager to director level, which is great for that company. And I think it's really important to get people from within, but it's still.
Yeah, I can understand that. You're gonna, that situation that you just explained right before this, where you're talking about they wanted a little more gas experience, direct gas experience. That is where Marcel's going to come into the picture. So there's some things. Yeah, I've got to introduce you guys. That's my number one thing. That's what I like to do anyway.
It's all about what, Foster?
Relationships. I messed up. Rich, I'm
Yeah,
supposed
you
to get
messed that
close
one
to the
up. It's
screen when
okay.
I say relate.
So,
I'm
and
really
Foster,
excited that, yeah,
you've known Rich a while, right? So
I
I
have.
would, I know you've known him a while, which is why he has your golden stamp of approval, correct?
Yes, yes. Mez would be happy with us to tell everybody that, guys, the people that we have on this show are the absolute best. They're the best at relationship building. They're the best at what they do. And, the personality that comes with
Yes.
Rich allows for him to make those relationships that can get us through bottlenecks and certain things. Everybody gets mad at you, oh my God, you didn't have my stuff on time. Hey, you're the worst thing in the world. But do you have somebody that can work through that? Do you have somebody mature? Do you have somebody that can get okay? I know you're fussing, but let's work on the problem more than just the fussing issue.
Yep.
Okay, I hear music, guys. Thank you,
Oh,
thank you, thank you, Rich.
Appreciate it,
Thank you,
everybody.
Nigel. We will see you
thank
guys next
you.
Friday.
See you next week.
Bye. See you next
Woo!
week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen.